say is cringe. So I've just sent a message to the local Facebook group, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stood in my local town area on Saturdays, and I'll be talking to members of the public about their concerns with politics, national politics, geopolitics, if they really want to. And what has occurred is what I thought would occur, that jealous people, or just one so far anyway, has decided to laugh react to the post, which is in some way fine if I didn't know the individual, but I do know him. And I know that he is essentially very insecure, because there used to be in the past, he would like my posts when I was talking about politics on Facebook, when I was more sympathetic to the left-wing perspectives. While I was never communist or socialist, it was something that I was more receptive to. And eventually, over time, he must have just known that he didn't have the breadth of knowledge that I have on this subject. And I was unfriended at some point, but who cares? And then essentially I noticed that all same social group were all a bit off with me, which was weird. And I know it's not me, because my actual close group of friends, I would say, are more libertarian, traditional. A few of them are conservative. I would say there's not really any socialists left amongst us, but the sort of just like the older generation, like a year or two older, they're all socialists. And I would say that some of them are rabid communists now. And I actually worked somewhere with this individual who was, I'll not give his full name, but I'll just call him Andy. And when I worked at this government agency, I'll not name it, obviously, I'm not doxing. He was like sort of higher up there, and I was there just working the telephones while they had this campaign on. And I was ultimately let go from this job, despite being one of the best. I was in until the final selection, and then they selected a few other people that, come into the office, they bake, they have lots of nice chats with everybody, but I didn't. I just came in, sat down, got on with the job, went home. No niceties, just came in, did it. I was much better than at least the woman that used to sit outside of me, who they gave a job. So as far as I'm concerned, he's just a bit of a cocksucker that's managed to worm his way into a position in what he thinks is a safe job, but it's not safe. And I'm hoping that you see this one day. This is the reason I'm making this video, is I'm making a proclamation that by 2030, you have lost your job, Andy. You are now unemployed. AI is taking your job. I will have my own things going on. They're already starting to occur. I've been invited to a media meeting tomorrow. I'm not going to give away details, obviously. I'm filming a podcast tomorrow. I have another lad who wants to film another podcast with me in the new year. I am filming a boxing event very soon. And there's some other things that are just like not sort of prominent in my mind, because they're not as coming up quite as soon as these other endeavours that I'm going on. And I myself, pardon me, I foresee all these doors opening at the moment. Things finally are starting to become a lot better for me. And it's just like anything with the sort of crabs in a bucket mentality, that people have to try and pull you down because you're going to ascend away from them. And it's all been fine this last decade, 15 years, while everybody else has been managing to climb their ladders, and I've been continually messed around and had the rug pulled from underneath my feet. And now I'm actually taking the bulls by the horns and doing something I should be doing. People are jealous and trying to admonish it or poo-poo my endeavours. And just get one thing straight, like, this is something I should be doing. At college, I did a sort of access to higher education course where I studied politics, British politics, globalisation, cultural studies, so like theoretical, political type subjects. You could call them maybe social sciences if you like. And then computing subjects like website design, multimedia authoring, photography, things of that nature. And then I went to university and I did digital film and visual effects production, which is more, again, not quite 100% analogous to doing what essentially is like a more journalism type endeavour, but it fits. I have all the transferable skills to be able to do this. And of course, my long-term plan is to create a film, which I will one day do. And you just watch one day when I've got my film made and Mr. Andy is still scratching around trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life because he's been doing nothing but admin crap and clerical work since he left school. He's going to have nothing to do. He's going to have to try and figure out what he's going to do. And then I'll be the one there to not laugh react, I think. I was going to say I'd laugh react, but I don't see why I have to like drag myself down to the moral detritus of society. So people like him have never improved the local area, never had anything to do. They will whinge and bitch, and then they will go about their crappy lives doing their clerical work, you know, consume product, wait for next product. He's one of those kinds of socialists. And I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it when eventually one day I completely take off away from all these losers. I mean, I'll not stop caring about my local area, obviously. No matter how big I perceivably get, I'm always going to try and do things for my local area because it's where my ancestors were born, it's where I've lived all my life, it's where I would have raised my family. So I would never abandon here. But I know people like him, he'd be off to Dubai or China or New Zealand if he could. But he can't, I imagine. That's why he's still here. Because you find this with these socialist types, they like think other countries are so much better than ours and they don't want to be here. And then when people try and improve this country, they have to try and like pull it down. Well, you're not going to win. And I foresee me ascending and you not ascending. Maybe you don't fall. I'm not going to wish bad things to occur. I'm not wishing for him to lose his job. But it's going to happen. It is for certain, especially with, you know, clicky mouse type jobs. They're gone. They are gone. The only people that are still going to keep their jobs are going to be people like police, like the kickboxing coaches that I know, boxing coaches, things of that nature. Something that requires like a human touch, a human to do it. The clerical jobs, they're not going to need humans. You know, a job's going to be automated in the blink of an eye. Why do you think I don't do clerical jobs anymore? Why do you think I stopped applying for admin jobs and clerical jobs? And I stick to just where I was at the minute, because it's going to be a lot harder, even though it's coming down the line, to create a robot to pick things up and put them down. And yes, I'm aware that that is occurring. But they are much harder to produce than just the AI to do like accounting, etc. Because essentially that robot needs AI in it as well. It needs both. Whereas the AI just to like resolve issues in a computer that Andy seems to think he's so good at doing, they're going to be gone tomorrow. So, and I know this is going to sound really arrogant, but in some way, I have to put up this video for me so I can refer back to it. In 5 years, I'll refer back to this video and see how far I've come. And if my predictions were right, if I have ascended, and if I have managed to get my finances completely straight and life is good, and while other people are like falling through the cracks, like is what's happened to me the last 10, 15 years, while none of them cared. So, yeah. Up yours, Andy. You're going to lose, loser.